The restaurant was too bright. That was the first thing I noticed. When you spend most of your time in a house where the lamps are low and the corners stay dark, a place with white tablecloths and polished silver feels like an interrogation. My name is Arthur. I'm 75 years old, and today is February 14th. I spent the better part of the afternoon sitting at a small round table in the corner of a bistro downtown. There was a single glass of water, a bread plate I didn't touch, and a chair across from me that felt heavier than if someone had actually been sitting in it. I haven't been out on this day in 4 years. I usually stay home and pull the curtains, waiting for the calendar to flip over so the world stops shouting about a kind of devotion I no longer have a place for. But this morning I woke up and the silence in the hallway felt sharp. It felt like it was daring me to do something. So I put on the suit I wore to David's wedding, the one that hangs a bit loose on my shoulders now, and I made a reservation for one. The waiter was young. He had that polite, practiced pity in his eyes when he laid down the single menu. He hovered for a second, probably wondering if he should ask if I was expecting someone. I didn't look up. I just stared at the salt shaker. I was thinking about the year we went to that Italian place on 4th Street, 1992. Sarah had worn a red scarf. I remember it because I spent the whole night complaining about the parking. I complained about the wait time. I complained that the wine was overpriced. I was so occupied with the logistics of the evening, with the performance of being a husband on a designated day, that I never actually heard what she told me over the linguine. She told me she was tired, not sleepy, tired. She said she felt like we were two people living parallel lives that only intersected at the grocery list and the utility bills. I remember nodding and saying, "I know, honey, work has been a lot lately." I thought she was talking about my schedule. I didn't realize she was talking about her soul. I didn't see that she was handing me a thread to pull us back together, and I just let it fall to the floor because I was worried about the tip. Sitting there today, surrounded by couples who were whispering and leaning in, I realized that I used to be one of them, but I wasn't really there. I was a ghost at my own table for decades. I looked at a young man 2 tables over. He was checking his phone under the tablecloth while his partner talked about her sister. He was nodding, but his eyes were elsewhere. I wanted to walk over and tell him that the phone doesn't matter. I wanted to tell him that the sister story doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that he still has someone willing to speak into his silence. But I didn't. I'm just an old man in a loose suit. There was a year, I think it was 2005, when Sarah stopped asking to go out. She told me she'd rather just stay in and make a roast. I thought I had won. I thought, good, we're finally past all that fuss. I didn't see that her stopping the ask wasn't a sign of contentment. It was a sign of resignation. She had finally accepted the perimeter I had built. She had moved into the guest room of our marriage because the main suite was too cold. In the 3 years since she's been gone, I've learned that the most painful sound in the world isn't a scream or a crash. It's the sound of a chair not being pulled out. It's the sound of the floorboards not creaking in the other room. I ordered the salmon today. It tasted like nothing. I sat there for an hour and 12 minutes. I watched the clock on the wall, the same way I watched the one in my hallway. I realized that for 40 years I treated my time with her like a resource to be managed, something to be budgeted for and saved for later. I thought love was a bank account that earned interest just by sitting there. I didn't realize it was a fire that needed to be fed every single day, or it would leave you shivering in the ash. I spent today at a table for one, not because she left me, but because I had been setting a table for one in my heart long before she ever got sick. I was the one who withdrew the affection. I was the one who made the silence a rule of the house. I'm 75, and I'm finally learning that later is the most dangerous word in the English language. The sun is going down now. The streetlights are coming on, and the couples are walking home, holding hands against the chill. I'm going to go back to my house. I'm going to hang up this suit, and I'm going to sit in the kitchen and listen to that clock thud. I'm glad you stayed with me through this. It's a long walk back when the house is empty. Tell me, when you look across the table tonight, what is it you're actually seeing? Don't wait for the chair to be empty before you decide to be present.